Hello, welcome or welcome back to the YarnNYarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is going to be my April making plans. It's so confusing because the months are just speeding past. How can we almost be at April already? In case you are new to the channel, each month for the last couple of years I kind of try and set myself some making goals for the month. I'm someone who likes to have a lot of works in progress on the needles, and sometimes if I don't try and focus down a little bit I can end up procrastinating and not really getting a lot done. So I find that by playing a fun little game of chance at the beginning of each month I can sort of focus on a few projects and I tend to get more done that way. I do this by rolling a dice, and I've got a series of cards with some prompts on, and I try to pick projects related to the prompts that are picked for me by the dice, and I roll my dice 4 times. Last month I also added an extra little fun element to this, which was suggested by one of our community members, Beverly, who said, wouldn't it be fun to get the community involved and to have someone pick a project for me for the month as well. So I did that last month. I had a lot of fun with it, and we're going to carry that on for the next few months at least. We'll see how it goes and whether people still want to engage with the sort of fun element in that way. So I'm here today to to spin the wheel to find out who's going to pick my April project or one of my April projects, and then I'll come back in a few days and roll the dice. I like to do the name picking a few days earlier to give that person a chance to respond to me once I get in contact with them. So I have this wheel on my phone. It's just a sort of spinner app, and it's entitled April Pick My Project, and I've put everyone's name into the wheel who has previously said that they would be interested in picking a project for me. Last month it was Kathy who got picked, and for the in the interest of giving everyone a fair chance, I've now removed Kathy from the wheel and I've left everyone else on there and added a few other people who said that they would be interested. Folks' names will stay on here until such time as their name gets picked or they tell me that they want to be removed. I know there's a couple of people out there who are interested in seeing me progress particular projects, so it could be that in the future someone wants to be removed from the wheel because the project that they were really interested in picking for me has now been finished. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So let's spin the wheel. Okay, so the wheel has chosen Lynn, so I'm going to get in touch with Lynn and see what, and I should say Lynn W because there are a couple of Lynns on the wheel, so Lynn W. So I'm going to leave a message for Lynn and get her to pick my project for April, or one of my projects for April, and then once I've heard back from Lynn I shall come back and we'll chat about what Lynn's chosen for me, and we'll roll the dice for the other projects for April too. Okay friends, a couple of days have passed and Lynn has sent me a lovely message to let me know what project that she is picking for me to work on in April. And Lynn said that she'd like to see me work on something that's made in my hand spun yarn, and suggested 2 projects. The first project, which is the one that I'm going to be concentrating on, is living in this lovely bucket bag from Emma of Eldenwood Craft, and I cast this on day 3 of our 12 cast-ons this year, the most recent one, and it's my heptagon time shawl. Don't know why, but I always struggle to say that. Heptagon time shawl. Not sure, just something, my brain, you know how it goes with some words. So this is where I got to on the first day of the cast-ons, and this is going to be quite a fun off the wall kind of project, as you can see by all of the fun colours that are going on in here. And in case you're new to the channel and you didn't watch this iteration of the 12 cast-ons, or any iteration of the 12 cast-ons, I am using for this project some of my hand spun yarn. I've pulled out various sort of quantities from my handspun stash, inspired in the first instance by a couple of yarns that I spun from Art Bats. So I was gifted a couple of art bats by my lovely friend Jeanette, and I spun up these sort of single use yarns, just spun the bats as they came, and there's lots of texture, lots of different colours in these two quantities. And so I pulled those out of my stash, and I decided to pair them with some other bits and pieces that I have in my stash too. On the first day of the cast-ons, I thought I might also spin up some black yarn. So I had some random black fibre in my stash, and I just spun that up. I think I did that on the first day of the cast-ons. I made singles yarn again to match the sort of art bats, and I thought a little bit of black sort of woven through this shawl might make it the sort of slightly off the wall, I'm a witch in the woods shawl of my dreams. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one's going to turn out, because there's no real rhyme or reason. I'm just changing the colours as and when I feel like I've had enough of one of the skeins. I swap in something else. So yeah, should be a fun time working on this one, and I'm excited to get back to it. The pattern for that one was a kind gift to me from one of our lovely community members, Mairead. So thanks to Lynn for picking that project, thanks to Mairead for the pattern, and thanks to my lovely friend Jeanette for some of the art bats that went into the yarn that's going to comprise this shawl. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Apologies if you can hear any random background noise. It's a nice day here today in South Wales, and one of my neighbours is obviously having some work done, because I can hear almost like some stone grinding or some wood chopping or something going on outside. So I'm not sure how much the microphone's going to pick that up, but if you hear any slightly distracting background noises, then I apologise for that. But I haven't got much time for recording this. There's only a few days left till the end of the month now, so I need to get this done today, so I can't put it off any longer. Lynn also said that she'd be happy to see me work on the Lunar mitts, which I worked on a little bit back in February. So if I get time, I might add a few rows to those as well. We'll see what the month brings and how far I get with the shawl. I'd like to put a reasonable dent in that shawl if I can. So yeah, thank you so much to Lynn for choosing that one. Just a quick reminder, if you would like to be in the pot for choosing one of my projects in future months, then please do let me know in the comments below. If you've already said that you want to be in the pot, you'll still be there, but if for any reason you've changed your mind and you want to come out of that, just let me know that as well. But yeah, I shall carry over my spinning wheel of chance to next month. So yeah, we're going to keep on doing that for a few months to come. Okay, so that's the first of 5 projects chosen. So let's roll the dice and see what the dice have in store for us for April. Okay, I've just moved the camera around slightly because I noticed as I press record again that the autofocus was trying to focus on the menagerie behind me, so I'm not sure if it's something to do with the light that we've got today, but hopefully this will help. If any of the sections that I've just recorded are out of focus slightly, I apologise for that, but hopefully all will be okay when I get to edit. So the dice have spoken, and I've got 4 lovely prompts to pick from this month. I want to say a big thank you once again, as always, to the lovely Simone who made these beautiful cards for me, to which I've added my sort of sticky note prompts on the back. I decided to go with sticky notes so I can change them out as and when I feel like it, but I promise I do not do any finagling. I go with whatever is on the back of the card. I don't swap the sticky notes around to get what I want. The idea is for this to be a little bit of a fun game, and just to use these as a guideline to help me choose my projects for the month, so no cheating allowed. One of these prompts we've seen before, and 3 of them are new this year. So let's just start in no particular order. I've probably jumbled these up from the order that they were rolled in. We first have number 11, and the prompt is sock. which is pretty straightforward. So I need to pick a sock project to work on. So I'm just going to pull up my project list on Ravelry. I've got quite a few socks on the needles at the moment, I think. There's still a few days left in March, as I said. So I've currently got my Craggy Shore socks on the needles, which were my newest cast on. But I think there's a good chance those are going to be finished or almost finished by the end of the month, so I'm not going to pick those. I've also got my gingerbread socks, which are my plain vanilla socks, so those could be an option. And then I've got two older pairs of socks on the needles. I've got Selbu socks, which is a pattern by Skein, and I cast those on back for our 2020 12 cast-ons, so they've been on the needles for quite some time, which, yeah, it's quite mind-blowing. And then I've also got my self-designed sort of draft inspired socks, which originally I was designing for my sister, but that seems to have fallen by the wayside. She's not shown any interest in that recently, so I've still got those on the needles. I think I'm going to turn those into a pair of socks for myself. So I don't think I'm in the mood to work on the gingerbread, the plain vanilla. As I say, the Craggy Shores are almost finished. I think it'd be quite nice to go back to the Selbu socks, so let me grab those. Okay, so I've got my Selbu sock project bag. This was a lovely bag that I bought from Charlie Button Yarns on one of our knit tea retreat weekends. And these socks, this is a real pathetic effort on my part, but I cast these on back in 2020 or the beginning of 2021, not sure, and this is as far as I got on the first day, and this is how they've stayed. Don't ask me how that happens. I've obviously just been passing over these in favour of other projects. But as you can see, the pattern's shaping up quite nicely. I'm using two colours of West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. This is Dusty Miller, and this might be turmeric, though I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I've got the labels in the bag. Am I that organised? Yes, I am. But I think this might have been, oh, it's nutmeg. So nutmeg and Dusty Miller. So I think it's about time I made some progress on these, isn't it? And I'm definitely more in the mood for a pattern sock than a vanilla sock at the moment. I think in the past, one of the reasons these have been sort of passed over for quite some time is I've definitely been in the mood for just plain round and round sock knitting. But I think some of that, the joy that I find in that sort of round and round, get into a flow sort of state of knitting, has been taken over by some of the sweater projects that I've been making over the last couple of years, and so I'm not finding quite so much joy in the round and round just plain sock knitting at the moment, but I have enjoyed working on my Craggy Shore socks during March, and they've got slight patterning to them, so maybe a bit of interest, a bit of colour work in my sock is exactly what I need to keep the sock mojo present. So first project picked in collaboration with the dice that I'm going to be working on in April. The next prompt that came up is number 9. That card's so pretty, isn't it? And on the back of that, the prompt is double knit, and the idea behind that prompt was just to get me to work with a different weight of yarn. A lot of the projects that I work on are fingering weight or 4-ply yarn, so I thought it'd be nice to have a prompt in the mix that might encourage me to work on something a little bit different. This one might be a bit more difficult to find a project for, and you know, I'm not averse to casting on something new, but I think I do have a few things in double knit yarn on the needles. So let me just quickly scan through my projects once again. What have I got that's double knit? So I've got my hand spun Astra vest, that's double knit yarn, or at least the pattern is recommending double knit. As I say, I'm working that in hand spun. I've got a blanket on the needles that I started at the request of my sister for her baby. She asked me to make a blanket for her when she was about 8 months pregnant, didn't give me much notice. My nephew's now almost 6 months old, and I haven't finished that blanket or got anywhere near that, so perhaps that could be an option. I've got my Let the Good Times Roll sweater, which I started as a test knit for the lovely Sylvia Watts Cherry, but I didn't make the test knit deadline, and therefore the project's been languishing a bit because the sort of urgency to get that one finished has passed. And I've also got my Scrah bucket, which is a bag pattern by the lovely Tracy of Passionate Spinner, and that's using fingering weight held double, so technically I think I could class that as double knit yarn. So those are the options that I have on the needles. I think I might be sensible and go with the blanket, because although I feel like it's not the project that's pulling me to it the most, I feel like if I don't finish it now, it's never going to get finished. And, you know, baby is now 6 months old. So it'd be quite nice to make some progress and maybe get that sent off to my sister before my nephew's 18. It'd be nice if he gets it before he's 18 months old rather than 18 years old. So let me just grab that project. So it's living in one of my Emma Ball sheep project bags, and I love these bags. I have them in the YarnNYarns shop, so it's a little bit of a shameless plug. I've got several designs of this, including some fabulous crafting gnomes. You know how much I love my gnomes, so I'm going to be stealing one of those bags for myself at some point. But this was a bag that was kindly gifted to me by one of our lovely channel members, Jen. I'd not snagged one of these bags for myself. Jen really kindly gifted me one, so yeah, I was super happy to have one of these. And as I say, so much yarn fits in these bags. Here is the blanket in question. This is the, I think it's called the Vroom Vroom Beep Beep pattern. It's a pattern by Vicky Bird Designs. It's in Tarja. My sister requested a blanket with cars on, and I need to make, I think, 5 of these strips, and I made 1. And I've got another one here in the bag, and I think I might have, in a fit of pique, ripped this off the needles, because this was my first attempt at doing the intarsia, and I wasn't massively happy with how these wheels on this car turned out. But do you know what, in the interest of getting this blanket actually hopefully anywhere near finished, I might just stick this back on the needles, because they're really not that bad. And in a blanket that's going to have 5 rows of these cars, are we really going to notice a few squished wheels? Probably not. Hopefully it'll block out slightly. This is an acrylic based yarn, so it's not going to block out in the same way as a lovely sort of wool based yarn would. But yeah, I reckon I might stick this back on. I might just rip back to the, I've obviously started wheels on this car here, but I might just rip all that out and pick up where the plain knitting is, because I think that would just be easier. And so I've got sort of 1 and a bit strips out of my 5 done. Yeah, I think I might work on that. These cars are fairly straightforward. I remember I can more or less get one of these done in an evening. I think I already mentioned it's intarsia knitting. Down here where the wheels of the cars are, you end up with quite a few little bits of yarn hanging off your project, but it's really not too complicated at all. And so hopefully I can get a reasonable way into this blanket during the month of April. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this now, I think, getting back to it, seeing these colours again, sort of working with these sort of bright, fun colours. My idea is to probably put some sort of fleecy backing on this blanket to sort of hide all of the sort of ends and the bits and pieces that hang up. I'm not the best, I'm not the neatest. I don't kind of take the time that's needed to make really neat finishing when I've got loads of ends and things to weave in. Yeah, I think to kind of hide some of the disastrousness that's going on the back, I will back this blanket. But it'd be quite nice if I could make some progress on that. I'm knitting this from a sort of combination of different yarns. Mostly it's Sirdar Snuggly, so hopefully that will make it sort of nice and easy to sort of wash and keep clean. And there's also a ball or 2 of Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino in there as well. I just randomly picked a whole bunch of different colours that I had left over in the sort of YarnNYarns de-stash stock. Double knit prompt. I'm going to work on the Vroom Vroom Beep Beep blanket. On to the next prompt, number 15. And the prompt is YouTube pick, which if you've been here for a while, you might remember this from last year when we played some of these dice games. And basically I'm going to pick 2 options for you folks out there in the YarnNYarns community to pick from, and I'm going to ask you to leave your choice in the comments if you'd like to have a vote, and then in a week or so I will tally up the votes, and I'll work on whichever has sort of the most interest in it. So I think I'm going to have a kind of like bit of a fun choice for this one. I have been thinking about, let me just grab these, my basket of self-destructing yarns. Last year, again, if you're new to the channel, you may be wondering what on earth I'm talking about. Last year I started a little bit of a sort of de-stash project here in my craft room. I've got a lot of stuff that I've collected over the years, and I'm in the middle of trying to rehome some of my yarns and bits and pieces that are not really speaking to me at the current time, or maybe they're leftovers from previous projects. I've got a goal of how much yarn I'd like to try and get down to, and I would like my stash to kind of reflect who I am as a knitter right now, rather than who I was as a knitter, you know, in the last sort of 5-10 years as I've been collecting all of these yarns. As I went through my first sort of my yarns, I pulled out a whole bunch of different skeins that I didn't have a project in mind for, but I wasn't quite ready to let go of in that moment. So I put them all in a basket, and I gave myself a deadline that if I hadn't cast these on within 12 months, then I was going to destash them, let them out into the world, and hopefully they'll find a new home. And I'm thinking about this basket quite a lot recently because I posted that video last May, so there's a couple of months left before that deadline is up. Now obviously I think there's like 5 or 6 skeins still left in here. I have knit a few quantities from the basket, but I'm not going to get all of these on the needles in the next 6 weeks, particularly given that I've just had a massive cast on party. But I'm thinking it might be quite nice to get at least one more project on the needles from this basket. So I'm going to ask you, should I cast on something new? I'm not sure what that would be yet, from one lot of yarn from the self-destructing yarn basket. So should I start something new, or should I be really sensible and work on the oldest project on my works in progress list, and that is my Latvian mitts. And again, if you've been a viewer of the channel for a while, you'll have seen these quite a few times over the years. They're a little bit of a nemesis project for me, because a lot of the rows on these mitts have up to 4 colours in them. I mean, they're beautiful, but they're a little bit tricky to knit on. It just takes me ages to knit one row, so I'm just trying to make sure most, if not all, of the stitches are on the needles before I show you these. So these are my Latvian mitts, and a lovely friend of mine bought a kit for me back from Latvia when she went travelling, and so yeah, these are my oldest work in progress. I'm quite a reasonable way through the first mitt now, but yeah, they're a little bit of, as I say, a little bit of a nemesis project for me. They're going to be gorgeous when they're finished, aren't they? So let me know in the comments below, should I treat myself to a new cast on from the self-destructing yarn basket, or should I be sensible and work on my oldest work in progress, my Latvian mitts? And I shall check back in a week or so to see what you all think, and I will pick up my mitts or start a new project accordingly, and that'll still give me sort of 3 weeks or so in the month to work on whatever you decide for me. That brings us to the last dice roll for April, and that's number 6. And this is a prompt that we've had before this year, and it's possibly my favourite prompt in the whole of my prompt cards mood, which means I just get to pick up and work on whatever I fancy. So I am definitely going to use that prompt as an excuse to carry on working on my Advent mitten garlands, my little mittens that I'm making. I'm trying to knit 2 of those a month at least, and so far, as I mentioned, there's only a couple of days left in March, and I've not done very well with them this month. I'm hoping I'll be able to pull it back and knit my 2 mitts in the next couple of days, but we'll see. So yeah, Advent mitts will definitely be featured in that mood prompt. And also, I'd like to make sure I'm working or trying to progress one of my sweater works in progress every month, and I've got loads of sweaters on the needles at the moment. So I think it's very likely that I shall be picking up a sweater project for that prompt as well, but I don't know which one yet. Again, I think I will get the next few days done with, finish working on my March projects, and then at the beginning of April I will just go with the prompt and see what I'm in the mood for working on sweater wise. So that's it, we have reached the end. I've got a shawl project to work on, a sock, a blanket, what else are we going for? Shawl, sock, blanket, oh, and 2, something that you pick and something that I'm in the mood for. So plenty of a variety to keep me busy for April. Let me know in the comments below whether you have projects that you're going to be concentrating on during the month of April. I know some of you follow along and use the prompts that I pick to help you pick your projects as well. The only one that might be a slight stumbling block for some folks out there would be the YouTube pick, because not everyone obviously has a YouTube channel. But maybe you could get a friend or a relative to pick your project, or just use a random number generator to pick something from your list of works in progress to cover that one. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you'll be working on. If you would like to vote for my YouTube pick project, let me know whether I should cast on something new or whether I should work on my oldest work in progress. And yeah, let's chat knitting, creating, making in the comments below. I love to hear from you, and I do try to reply to everyone. Sometimes it takes me a little while to get back to everyone, but yeah, I love chatting about knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving, all of the things. So thank you so much for all of your interaction. I hope you've enjoyed the video. It's a little bit of a different one if you're new to the channel. There's not too much making going on in this one, but hopefully it's a little bit of a fun diversion for anyone who needs company today. And I'll be back soon with more making content. So I hope you will join me for the next video. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some other things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.